Yo, book nerds! I finished reading They Called Us Enemy. This was written by George Takei, Justin Eisinger, and Stephen Scott, and the art was done by Harmony Becker. And yes, I am talking about the George Takei from Star Trek. This is a graphic memoir, and it is about the Japanese internment camps during World War II. This is about George Takei's actual life. He was in an internment camp when he was a young boy, and this is his story. And this was just so beautifully done. It really hits you right in the heart. I thought it was so good. I really enjoyed this read. It really just gave me a look into something that I didn't know a whole lot about. I knew that the Japanese had been put in internment camps, but I really didn't know what it was like. I had just read recently Seen and Unseen, which is also about the Japanese internment camps, so if you haven't checked out that review, go check that out. But this was a great companion to that. Obviously they aren't officially companions, but it was nice to read them pretty close together because they really went well together and gave me a fuller picture of what this actually was like. So I definitely recommend checking both of them out. I really enjoyed the theme of childhood innocence that Takei portrays. His parents really tried to shield him from a lot of what they were going through. When they would be on trains, Takei's dad would tell him they were going on a trip, and little George was excited. Meanwhile, his parents were terrified because they didn't know what was going to happen to them all. They really tried to make good memories for their kids. Takei and his two younger siblings, they were so young when they were in these internment camps that by the time they got out, they didn't remember what it was like to be out of the camps. Like, that was their life. And so even leaving the camps later is scary. It's literally all they knew. That's just so unreal to me. Like, I can't fathom that. I just can't believe this is actually part of our history. I'm going to talk a little bit about the book, so spoiler warning. One thing that becomes very personal in this memoir is that George Takei's mom ends up renouncing her citizenship, and that whole thing is just so muddled and confusing. Like, I understand why she renounced her citizenship, and I understand why other Japanese Americans did the same thing. They were basically tricked into thinking that it was unsafe for them outside the camps, and if they renounced their citizenship, they could stay in the camps. They didn't really see it as being loyal or disloyal to the US, but at the same time, they really were being so mistreated by the US. Why would they want to be loyal to the US? Like, the US rejected them when they did absolutely nothing. Like, it's just so muddled and confusing, and oh man, I really felt for them. I really did. And then, after having renounced their citizenship, George's mom and all the other people that renounced their citizenship, they faced deportment. And their original thought was, oh, they can't deport us all, but actually they could, and they were trying to. And so then you have the fear of being deported back to Japan, where some of these people have never been before. And it was also a war zone, and what were they going to? Like, Nagasaki and Hiroshima had been bombed. Like, parts of that country were a wasteland. And so, like, they were terrified. Some of these people had family members that were killed in the bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Like, and now they're possibly being deported back to that place where their families were just killed. Like, it's so scary. I can't imagine the fear. And honestly, reading this has just opened my eyes to how our history lessons in school have failed us, because I did not know about this. Like, I knew just the bare minimum. And I even talked to my boyfriend Taylor about this. Like, he didn't know about the internment camps at all. So, like, our education system is so faulty and flawed. The fact that this stuff isn't being taught, like, we need to be teaching it, because we need to be able to look at our past, the good and the bad, and learn from it. Like, this was bad, and we need to make sure that we know about it going forward so that people don't make these same mistakes. Like these internment camps, they were concentration camps. Yeah, we weren't gassing people, but that's essentially what they were. People did die in these camps. People were shot sometimes in these camps. Like, it's just egregious. It's awful, and I am so sorry to those families. I just can't even imagine. It's terrible, terrible. If you've read this, let me know your thoughts, and I think everybody should read this. It will just open your eyes to something that's a part of our history that should never have been part of our history. That's all for me this week. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday, and I will talk to you guys soon. Hit like and subscribe. Thanks for talking books with me.